Just a second, guys. I'm almost ready. Okay. I know we're late. We are late today. Don't mean to. What's good, Dylan? Dylan, it's a good thing you're here because something that happened to our brother Dylan we will discuss later on in the video. I want to discuss that actually. I want that to be like the last thing, or maybe like second to the last thing, because I want as many people to see what happened. I want as many people to see what happened. But let me address this thing real quick. Oh, hold on. Before I address that thing real quick, let me pull up this other thing that I want to address with you guys briefly, because I know you guys support me, and I know you guys, you guys have been very supportive of me, and I very much so appreciate that. I really do. So let me start off with this. Mr. McCoy, how you doing? Excuse me. Yeah, the designs, I made some new designs. I only had that one design, if you guys remember. It was, let me make it a little bit bigger. The link, I forgot to put the link in there. Actually, I'm going to put the link in the chat. That's what I'm going to do. But as you can see, these are the different designs I made. Making the design about with the black female face, that was kind of hard. I did not know what I was gonna do with that one. At first, what I was first thinking about doing was just taking the male head and then like editing it. Because if you can see, the male head has like an Adam's apple. I was gonna kind of flatten that. I was gonna like bring that in, and then I was gonna like maybe add some earrings, because black women they can wear afros like this, and this is kind of, they don't do it like this anymore. This is kind of like back during like the 70s and stuff, where they were wearing the afros like that. So I'm like, okay, well that could look cool, but then I'm like, no, because from a distance you wouldn't really be able to tell that there would be a male face, and like that's too close. I have to have the design for the ladies. They have to almost completely different. So where if you're wearing one from like across the room, you can tell, okay, that's the black woman design. So I designed this one. So that one's for the ladies. But what you can do is when you go to the website, this is an extra one, the two at the bottom. The white one, that's not actually the color white. That's just transparent. So whatever color you put on it, let's say I'm gonna change this, I'm gonna make it purple, right? Whatever color you put on it is gonna have that color. Now some show better than others, right? But that is what it is. Just in case somebody, if you want it like a white, just all white or something, just to mix it up. Then I got this one. I thought it, hold on, let me go back a little bit more again. I thought it was okay. I thought it's new, because I made the head. The head is much bigger in this one. The head is much bigger, and the Afro Elite is on one thing. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. But what you can do is, if you click on the design, this was the original design, right? If you click on the design, I don't know why it's popping out pink, but you can change the color. You can pick your size. It goes up to 5X. But let's say, I mean, you have a lot of colors here. Let's say I wanted, I don't know, I'm going to say green, right? Let's say you wanted a green shirt. That looks nice. That's a nice looking shirt. You can get that, but once you click the design, you get the shirts, and then you can go down. You can get an apron in different colors. One of your tote bags. You can get a hoodie. There's, the woman's shirt. That's different. You can get that. You can get coffee mugs, and you can get water bottles and stuff like that too. So, and that's for all of the that's for all of the designs. So any design you click, like if you hit the ladies design, I don't know why it's mine. thing. If you hit that one, you can get like, the coffee mugs for the ladies and stuff like that. So, I decided to do something for them too, so they would be more enticed to check it out. But just give me 1 second. I am going to put this link in the chat room. Put this link in the chat room for 1 second, you guys. 1 second. Okay, hold on. In the chat room for 1 second. Oh, I did not know it was going to do that. I wish I would have did this earlier, but I didn't think about it. I didn't think about it, but there you go. So the link is in the chat room. I'm going to put it in the description. Anyway, thank you for everybody who left a like too. Everybody who's watching right now. Now, normally, I don't tend to talk about like celebrity beef. I tend to stay out of that until I notice it's like relevant. And I'm going to touch on this very briefly. This is a very brief thing I'm going to just briefly touch up on that I noticed, and I thought it was kind of crazy and unnecessary. Right? Now, I've discussed the baby before. I've discussed the baby before when it came to how he handled the boys with that shopping thing when they were buying the candy from him, because I felt like that was relevant. So anybody, because I know you're gonna have some people in the chat like, what does this have to do with being on code? This video, this whole series is supposed to be an overall message on many different things and how you're supposed to look at them from an on code perspective in many different aspects. Okay, so if I talk about a celebrity, no, this isn't celebrity gossip, but I'm looking at it from how are black people supposed to be on code in this situation, or how are they not on code in this situation? Things you might not peep out, things you're supposed to be aware of. So the baby was on tour. He did a tour, and he said this. I'm gonna let y'all listen to it.
You didn't show up today with HIV, AIDS, any of them deadly sexually transmitted diseases that'll make you die in 2-3 weeks. Put a cell phone light in the air. Lady, if your pussy smell like water, put a cell phone light in the air. Fellas, lights up. Fellas, if you ain't sucking nigga dick in the parking lot, put your cell phone lights in the air. Let's be real about this shit. Yeah, keep it fucking real. Some of y'all niggas suspect as a motherfucker. Let's be real.
Now, I'm gonna repeat in case you didn't hear, and I try not to curse on this. I've tried not to. I know I do sometimes, but I'm gonna repeat what he said. Okay. So the first thing he says, if you don't have HIV, AIDS, or any of those sexually transmitted diseases that will have you die in 2-3 weeks, put your cell phone lights up. He said, ladies, if your pussy smells like water, put your cell phone lights up. He says, dudes, if you didn't suck dick in the parking lot, put your cell phone lights up. Now, when I first heard it, I thought it was a joke. I thought it was actually funny, to be honest. And everybody in the audience thought it was funny too. But there were some people who were all like, okay, how are you going to say this? This is homophobic. They're saying that the baby is homophobic for that comment. Because they're saying that he implied that gay people have AIDS. Here's the thing. Here's the thing with that. And this is why I'm making this, because nowadays you can't say anything at all, and I'm making this for a specific reason, because this is going to segue into my next topic. You can't say anything at all that a gay person doesn't like at all without it being considered homophobic. Now, what he said, he was not addressing all gay people. It's not like he said, guys, if you're gay, don't put your phones up. He said he was referring to the dudes who suck dick in a parking lot. All gay people, most gay people, don't suck dick in the damn parking lot. So that's what he was referring to. That's not a homophobic statement. And that statement he made about AIDS was not connected to the statement he made about gay dudes. The statement he made 3 different statements that were separate from each other. The statement he made about AIDS was the first statement. Then he made a statement about women. Then he made a statement about gay dudes. There's a whole bunch of articles online. Oh my God. the baby is homophobic. People saying he's homophobic because he's low-key gay. Oh, he's gay. And then rapper T.I. defended rapper T.I. defended the baby. He was all like, well, if Lil Nas X can do what he does, then the baby can do what he does. If nobody has a problem with anything Lil Nas X does, if everything Lil Nas X does, it's back up or you're homophobic, let him express himself however he wants to express himself. Leave Lil Nas X alone. And some people, there's one person who is very upset every time I talk negatively about Lil Nas X. Lil Nas X is like his icon, but I'm gonna talk about him anyway. So people are saying, oh, that has nothing to do with anything. I'm gonna show you this right here. This is one of Lil Nas X's newest videos. Okay. Now, images are a little bit inappropriate. That's why they're blurred out. It's blurred out in the actual music video. But in the music video, Lil Nas X, and I'm not going to play it for multiple reasons. Number one, for the YouTube copyright thing. Number two, because it's just, I don't want to play it. It's inappropriate. But Lil Nas X is in jail with a bunch of gay black men. And now he's twerking and dancing in the shower with gay black men, and he has a white male rapper named Jack something, whatever his name is, and he is having sex with the female guard. So the female is on the white man, but the black men have to have sex with each other in the shower. Now this is a deliberate thing. Now what happens is anytime somebody points out this is clearly buck breaking. Anytime somebody points out a clear buck breaking agenda, you get trolled with, oh, you're just being homophobic. Oh, you just don't understand. You just don't understand the point of the video. You're just not getting it. No, it's not the fact that it's not. We are getting it. That's the thing. Lil Nas, first off, let me explain it to you guys for the people who aren't getting it. Because his response is, well, I'm gay, he's not gay. So I'm going to be with the men, he's not going to be with the men. The thing is that there is a clear difference in power between the inmate who gets to have sex with the only female guard. The female is on the white inmate. Notice the race difference too, because don't overlook that. The white inmate is clearly more yeah, please take it down. Yeah, let me take this down. Okay. The white inmate is clearly more powerful, has more power over the black inmates. The black inmates have to have sex among each other with other inmates, this degenerate prison sex that the black inmates have to have. They have to twerk in the shower together, and the white inmate is having sex with the female guard. There's a clear difference in power that they obviously tried to show you. That was a very clear and obvious show of power where the black people are beneath the white people in that. Now the issue is that anytime you call out anything at all Lil Nas X does, he hides behind, okay, well, you're homophobic then. You just hate gay people. Now I will give Lil Nas X this. He is very good with his comebacks. He does lose sometimes, but he's very good with his comebacks. So it's really hard to criticize him on any real manner at all. It's hard to criticize him whatsoever, because he's going to come back with a very witty, sarcastic comeback, and then you're going to be labeled by his fans as homophobic. So you can't even really say anything about anybody doing anything gay, whether it's a clear agenda. Now, to cover this up, he said he's donating to prison reform or something like that. I mean, that's good for him if he does. I guess that's good for him if he does. He didn't need to make a video of black males specifically getting buck broken to donate anything. He didn't need to do that. Okay, that's just to cover it up, because that's clearly a racist video. So now he's like, okay, well, I'm going to help the black and brown people who are disproportionately incarcerated. And remember, I keep saying the whole watch that black and brown stuff. I keep telling you guys, watch that black and brown stuff. Because anytime they say black and brown, it is implied that the black and brown thing's supposed to be 50-50. I'm going to help the black people and I'm going to help the brown people, whoever these brown people are, but I'm going to help the brown people. But time and time again, you see majority of the people who get helped with the black and brown are the brown people. And why I say air quotes with brown, because a lot of the times they're not even really quote brown people. They're just like white Hispanic people. White Hispanic people get help over black people. This comment, I just saw this and I wanted to say something about it. I'm gonna zoom in so you can see it because it's a little difficult to see right here. This is, so you got, oh, you know what, I'm gonna leave my comments to after I play the video. So so you guys know, this is a black officer. The big male is a black officer. There's a white female officer right next to him, and then there's a white male officer right around the car, the police cruiser. And there's a black woman in handcuffs on the floor. That's all I'm gonna say. So you guys, because in case you guys can't see it, I'm trying to actually, let me make it a little bit bigger. Yeah, okay. All right, make it a little bit bigger. Okay, all right, here we go. Here we go. Now, she is on the floor. She's on the ground in handcuffs, and she's talking. I can't, in the video, you can't really hear what she says. You can't hear what she says in the video, but she's saying something. She sits up and she starts speaking, and the black officer kicks her in the face. A black woman in handcuffs. This is why I'm telling you guys that the whole narrative of we need more representation, we need more black cops out here, that stuff is dead. That is dead. Because a lot of the times, not all of the times, because I have given shout out to good black cops who are out there. I've even met some personally. But majority of the time, these black cops are suck-ups to white cops. These black cops suck up to what they want white cops to do. That black dude, that black cop who kicked the black woman in handcuffs while she was on the floor, he wouldn't have even dared thought about doing that if she was white. And that's why I don't want to hear anything about police need to be trained. Police need to be trained differently. It's a training issue. If she was white, a black cop wouldn't have kicked her. He kicked her. And notice too how the other officer, now you can't say, okay, well the other officer didn't see it. The reaction between both the other officers. The female, now shout out to girls sticking together, shout out to feminism. The female officer is standing right there and sees a man, a grown man, kick another woman, kick a woman in the face while she is on the floor in handcuffs. Okay, shout out to everybody in chat. I'm gonna read your comments in just a second. But he kicked her in the face while she's in handcuffs, and the whole girls who gotta stick together and fight the misogyny and fight the patriarchy and fight racism didn't say anything at all. Now I'm asking you, I'm not even gonna say it, but I'm asking you, if the races were reversed, okay, if the races were reversed and that was a white woman, and then that was a white woman on the floor with a black cop, and the black cop kicked the white woman, you think those two other white cops who were right there wouldn't have said anything? Oh, those two cops, he might have been in handcuffs. They might have took the handcuffs off of her and then put that on him. So this is a clear video. This video I'm showing you guys, and I don't want to show it again. I don't want to show you guys a black woman getting kicked in the face. I only let it play twice just in case you couldn't like see it. But this is to show you that these police are not unsensitive. They don't need sensitivity training. They don't need to be reformed, whatever that vague term means. They don't need to be reformed. They don't need sensitivity training. You don't need training to know not to kick someone. This isn't even another grown man. This is a whole woman. You as a grown man should know better to not kick a woman who's in handcuffs. It's not like she was trying to get up and run away. She just said something he clearly didn't like, and he kicked her in the face. What type of training will teach you not to do that? You, before you become a police officer, should know not to do that to anybody. He wouldn't have even done that to a white man, let alone a white woman. He wouldn't have done that to if that person was a white male or female. He wouldn't have kicked him in the face like that. Not in front of those two other white cops. He kicked her in the face in front of those two other white cops because he knew those white cops were not going to say anything. Because that's a black woman and those white cops were not going to say anything. Listen to what I tell you when I tell you about these police, and people keep saying, oh, well, most police are good. They're just a few bad apples somewhere here and there. But we get rid of them, and then all these police officers, they're just so great and they're just so good. No, okay? Now, whoever recorded that, because that was recorded on a cell phone, whoever recorded that exposed that officer, because those two officers weren't going to say anything. Even if they were like on their way back to the station, it was like, oh, wow, I mean, you didn't have to do that. I mean, even if they briefly mentioned it, you can tell by her super calm, nonchalant, and the man's super calm, nonchalant reaction that it didn't bother them. It didn't bother them at all. What I'm telling you about these police officers, there's no such thing as, just a few bad apples. Oh, it's just a few bad apples, and then once we get rid of that, everything is going to be hunky-dory. Everything's going to be super okay. Now, hold on, let me see. What was I about to? Okay. Yeah, let me read up on this real quick. Now, we were talking about, that's a little big. We were talking about our sister, Sha'Carri Richardson, being banned from the Olympics. Now, I gave my opinion on that before. I wish she would have handled the situation a little bit better with the death of her mother. But, I mean, she was punished for it. The Olympics said, hey, we can't have you run because you was doing this and this, and that's against the rule, right? Now, that's against the rule, so you can't run. That's what we were told. So, this dude is, these two white lesbians were up here bragging about marijuana use in the Olympics. This is Doobie Standard. Doobie Standard. I don't know what. Maybe that's a play word, is double standard something. Megan, I'm bad with pronouncing names, so I'm just gonna say the first name. Megan, blah, reports cannabis brand at the Olympics after Sha'Carri Richardson ban. Okay, I'm gonna read a little bit of this. I'm not gonna read the whole thing. The Summer Olympics were finally underway in Tokyo. Sans U.S. track team star Sha'Carri Richardson, whose failed drug test and ensuing suspicion reignited the conversation over the criminalization of drugs in black and brown communities. Remember what I keep telling you about these black and brown communities, drugs in black and brown communities last month. Well, consider soccer team champ Megan Rapinoe's, I think it's Rapinoe's, Megan Rapinoe's last brand deal additional fuel to that fire. A recent Forbes piece centered on Rapinoe, and a new edition of her training regimen, CBD gummies. Those are like weed gummies. Those are edibles, weed gummies, and tropical sticks began circulating Friday afternoon within the context of Richardson's very public exclusion from the games for a slightly different substance, leading commenters to label the Olympics as racist and sexist towards black women and effing gross. I want you guys to pay attention to the spin that they put on this. When they say something, I need you guys to really pay attention to this. When they say something is racist and sexist, that kind of takes the weight away from it being racist. This is not racist and sexist because both of these people are women. This has nothing to do with sex. See, what white supremacy knows to do is they can't lie and say it doesn't have anything to do with race. So they'll say, oh, it has something to do with race. And so, you know, they would have put the like the the homophobic or whatever spin on it, because Sha'Carri Richardson is bisexual. They would have put that spin on it, but Megan here is a lesbian. So they can't say this is homophobic. They can't say this is it clearly is racist. So they're saying, okay, this is racist and sexist. This has nothing to do with the sex. This is clearly all about race. They say this has something to do with sex so they can dilute the fact that this is solely anti-black racism. I need you guys to pay attention to when they do stuff like that. I'm going to read a little bit more. People are arguing that the difference between the substances is not significant enough to justify the difference in how they've been treated by the Olympics and media at large. Okay, now they're going to go into comments. Now, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take that out. Let me explain a little bit something to you. If you guys remember the video I did about the crack epidemic, when I did the video about the crack epidemics, I explained to you guys about how they make slight little differences between the situation with white people and the situation with black people, and then they completely treat the situations completely different. The situations are completely different because they don't want to treat the white people the way they treat black people, so they have to look for nitpick. They have to cherry pick small little differences and then be all like, oh, well, see, that's the reason we're having a completely different reaction. Just like with crack, right? When black people were doing crack cocaine and they were sending black people to jail in mass, they were mass incarcerating black people for crack cocaine, and white people were doing powdered cocaine, which is still cocaine. The ingredients is still the same. For the most part, the ingredients is still the same. It's still the same drug. They're still cocaine. Just like in this situation, it's still weed. It's still marijuana. What they'll say is, okay, well, the reason why we're throwing a book at any black person for doing drugs is because it's not the cocaine that's the issue, it's the crack cocaine. So if you do crack cocaine, then you go to jail for this amount of time, but you have to do 100 times as much powdered cocaine to go to jail for the same amount of time we're sending the black person to jail for crack cocaine. And the only difference is black people were doing the crack cocaine and white people were doing the powder cocaine. But they can't lock white people up the same way they were locking black people up. So they're like, okay, let's nitpick a small little difference. Okay, well, that's crack and that's powdered. So we have to punish the crack pretty much exclusively. And if somebody does powder, then yeah, maybe we'll punch them a little bit. That's the small little differences that white people do to make a double standard in this thing. Now, Sha'Carri was banned from participating in the Olympics because she didn't pass the drug test because of weed. So weed is a big deal. Okay. But if weed is a big deal, don't make it just a big deal for black people. If weed is a big deal, it has to be a big deal for everybody. It cannot be a big deal just for black people. You can't say, okay, well, smoking weed, that's the issue. Smoking weed is the issue. Now, edibles, oh, okay, well, edibles, that's totally different. That's totally different. No, if marijuana, if cannabis will disqualify you from the Olympics, if the Olympics is canceling anything that has to do with cannabis, then they have to be even across the board. This is a racial double standard. You read some of the comments because I told you guys I would. The black and brown people already got the brown people already got help by being allowed to come in this country. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. They were allowed to leave their country to come in this country and then get benefits that black people don't even get. They're leapfrogging over black people. They have easier access to capital than black people do. How, speaking of the black and brown, because everybody wants to make it seem like black and brown is just completely synonymous and we're in this identical struggle. Tell me how immigrants, illegal immigrants, can come to the country and have better chances of employment than the citizens who actually built the country and who is legally living on the land. How is that possible if you are not giving an extra handout to the illegal immigrants? How is that possible? The illegal aliens, because illegal immigrants is kind of like contradictory right there. That's oxymoron. So how is that possible if you're not giving them an extra handout? So let's not pretend like, oh, well, you know, black people are right here, Hispanic or brown people are right here. No, that's not the case at all. And most of these brown people, they're just white Latinos. They're just white Latinos. In case you guys didn't know, there are black people in Mexico. There are Afro-Latinos. When they talk about brown people, they don't ever talk about the Afro-Latinos. They don't ever talk about dark-skinned Mexicans or dark-skinned Puerto Ricans or dark-skinned Hispanics. They're talking about the white Hispanics. The white Hispanics who think and act identical in many cases to the dominant society. Trump won the Hispanic vote both times. Okay, he won it both times. With not he won the vote, so you guys know he didn't win the election both times. But based off of the way Hispanics voted, they voted for Trump both times. A lot of them have this ideology where they think, oh, they're just some special type of whites. They think they're Spaniards, okay? And Spaniards are white people. Spain is in Europe. They are white people. And they think, based off the colonization of Spain in Mexico, they think that they are just this like off-brand white people. And they act like that, and they treat black people like that. They be talking crazy about black people. They don't like black people. I might need to make another video about that. I mean, somebody say, oh, he's a coward. He's a coward. Yeah, for the black dude kicking him in the face. And he says, let me see if I will hear any facts tonight. Okay, well, make sure you leave a like, Kid Gerbo. Make sure you leave a like. And, you know, I'm a victim of the crack epidemic. I mean, it's sad. It's sad. The crack epidemic really did negatively affect a lot of black people. A lot of black people. A lot of black people got their lives completely ruined by the crack epidemic. That the government allowed, the government permitted the crack epidemic. They put the drugs in the community. Because the drugs wouldn't have got there without their help, without the government's help. So the government aided and abetted in the crack epidemic. And then any black person they saw, whether they were smoking crack or selling crack, you just had crack on you, you're going to jail. Oh, then the 3 strikes came. So then mass incarceration of black men. But they weren't doing that to white people. They weren't doing that to white people. If you want facts, Kid Gerbo, you can go check that video out I did about the crack epidemic. I think you'll be very impressed. I think you will. He's just a young, he's a young guy, you know, a young child. He wants to be educated, and I'm here to educate you. Something else I wanted to mention right? Now, I did another video, Kid Gerbo, you can watch this too. I did another video about the anti-black racism in the medical industry. Now, in that video, I talked about the Tuskegee experiment. I talked about a long list of other reasons, and this happened last year, way before like Biden was elected, way before the vaccine came out. I don't even know if I can even say that on YouTube. I'm not telling anybody not to get it. Yeah, you definitely should get it. You know what I'm saying? You definitely should get it. So YouTube, don't cancel me, because I am encouraging people to go out and get this extremely, new, very experimental, safe, 100% safe if you want to die shot. So anyway, I explained a lot of stuff about why black people, and I'm talking about since slavery, why black people don't trust the medical industry. Now, the Tuskegee experiment is like the biggest, most popular, number one reason, because that was just a blatant experiment and lie. That was just a blatant experiment and lie. And that's one of the biggest reasons why black people are like, yeah, I don't trust the government. I'm not, as a black person who knows about the Tuskegee experiment, I am not going to take this brand new shot. I'm not going to take this brand new shot that you guys just came up with after saying you would take years to develop. Then after the election, oh my God, we have it now, so just take it, hurry up. Like, okay. So, excuse me. Roland Martin had a guest on, and this is what they were talking about.
Let's slow down.
Oh, I'm not showing the video. Okay, here we go.
They were not injected with anything.
No.
What they did was monitor them. They didn't give them any. They didn't provide any medical care. There was no injection of black people to the Tuskegee experiment. Go ahead.
Right.
Okay, and let me
And
stop
that's
with,
the problem.
first off, do you see the way he talks? So, and now he's specifically talking to black people, because the Tuskegee experiment didn't affect black and brown, because everybody wants to talk about black and brown as if we have the same issues. There was no brown version of the Tuskegee experiment. There was no Asian version of the Tuskegee experiment. There was only a black version of the Tuskegee experiment. Now, the way he's talking to black people, he's talking in this very condescending way, talking very loud and slowly, as if we're a bunch of stupid conspiracy theorists who's there was no injection. Listen.
Let's slow that down. They were not injected with anything.
No.
What they did was monitor them. They didn't give them any. They didn't provide any medical care. There was no injection of black people to the Tuskegee experiment. Go ahead.
Okay. Somebody says your leader Tariq talked about the same thing last night. That proves to me that you're watching Tariq's program. Okay, that's what that shows to me. Secondly, when it comes to news, and some people said this before, like, oh, somebody else already touched up on this. When it comes to news, you do not see one news channel say, oh, well, we can't talk about that news story because another news channel had already said something about it. You don't see news doing that. You don't see white people doing that. When you see these conservatives with these podcasts and these alt-right podcasts and YouTube videos, you don't see them saying, well, they already talked about it, so now I can't talk about it. That's not how media works. Media doesn't work with one person talked about it, so they have this like copyright claim on the subject, the whole subject, so now nobody else can talk about it. That doesn't make any sense. Okay. Now, there was a Asian version of the Tuskegee experiment, Bikini Island. Look at it. Asian version, Bikini Island. I'm talking about, I'm not saying they haven't done anything to Asian people or anybody else. I'm talking about in America. Okay. What happened with the Tuskegee experiment? Now, let me finish playing the video, and then I'm going to get my comments. I just put it off, turned it off. There we go.
Right. And that's the problem. We knew that the cure for syphilis in 1940 was penicillin. So for 30 years, they allowed this experiment to happen, knowing they had a medicine that could cure these people. And so with COVID, when we've been watching for this last year and a half, Black and brown people dying at higher rates.
But I keep telling you about this black and brown. I keep telling you about this black and brown stuff.
That we have this vaccine that could save your life, and they said, we're not going to give it to you. That would be Tuskegee Part 2. But what we have now...
Now, I want you to notice something. Now, she's saying black and brown people are dying at extremely high rates. And we have this vaccine that could save your life, but we're not going to give it to you. That is almost like she's implying this is the reverse of the Tuskegee experiment, where everybody has COVID, and the only way you don't die is if you get the shot.
Idea of I don't want the vaccine because they may be trying to do something. Do you think I would go and tell my grandmother to do this? Do you think you would see that the most powerful people in our country were the very first ones running up on stage to try to get vaccinated? Because
I'm gonna show you guys something just a second. Hold on,
let me alive to see 2022. We've already lost 630,000 Americans at least, and that number is grossly underestimated.
Okay. Now she says, I want you to say something else. She says, notice something else. She says that number is grossly underestimated. The people who died from the vaccine. That number is supposed to be grossly underestimated, but weren't the CDC saying any death at all, period, whatsoever? And if you find out the person had COVID, just mark it as a COVID death. I'm talking about what they actually said. This isn't a conspiracy. I'm talking about what they said. They said any death whatsoever, if you find out the person had COVID, so if the person died of a heart attack, and that's not an effect of COVID, that's not a result of COVID-19, but if you died of a heart attack, then we'll just say that was COVID-19. So she's saying that the deaths were underestimated. It could be very possible, very, very, very possible, that the deaths, and even they've said so, were very overestimated. That anytime a person got sick and died, if that person even had symptoms, this is what they said, even if the person had symptoms of COVID-19, just say it's COVID-19. So, the symptoms of COVID-19, you can't taste, you have a trouble breathing, you have a fever. So if you come in with a fever that's not related to COVID, but fever is a symptom of COVID, they were like, okay, well, that's COVID, so you died of COVID. I want you to peep that out. While she's saying it's underestimated. Okay.
Estimated because we weren't testing a lot of people early on in the pandemic because we didn't have tests. So when we were looking at that, is again, whenever you're trying to come up with an argument, and I welcome healthy discussions, but make sure it is based in facts. And if you're going to bring up Tuskegee, just realize that Tuskegee was the holding back of medicine. It wasn't the giving of medicine. They knew we were sick, and they said, I'm not going to treat you because I want to see what syphilis does to the brain, to the lungs. What does it do to someone if we don't give you medical care? Well, you don't have to have that anymore in America. You can get treatment, and that starts, especially in this pandemic, with, again, testing GetVax, GETVAX.
Okay. Now, let me show you something. Let me turn this off real quick, and I'm going to pull this up. And this, I think, I found this very, very interesting when I saw it. I'm like, oh, okay. So, that's how it is. That's how it is with her. Let me pull this out. I'm just going to be real quick. I didn't think to pull it up until just now. So y'all give me a brief moment. Oh, no, that's not what I'm looking for. But yeah, that's what and I'm going to break down what she said. Okay. Now, when I made the video about the anti-black racism that we face through the medical industry, it was not just the Tuskegee. See, what they're trying to do is they're trying to make it seem like the only reason whatsoever that black people are opposed to the vax is because of the Tuskegee experiment, which is, first of all, reason enough. me show you this real quick. Yeah, this is her. This is her and her guy. This is her and her guy. The girls telling black people to trust the white people. This is her and her man. Just just gotta say, don't looking super pro-black right now. I just thought that was interesting. But that's not the only reason. Black people, black women specifically, were experimented on by Jay, and I said this in my video because somebody's like, oh, you're copying Tariq. I've said this in my video I did last year. Okay, Jay Marison Sims was supposed to be the godfather of gynecology, and he experimented with no anesthesia on black enslaved women, on enslaved black women. He would just take his whatever tools and just go looking through and figuring out gynecology through that way. Very painful, very horrific and inhumane experiments. Okay, and I said this in that video, until very recently they still had statues of him. They held his name to high esteem. Nobody looked at what he did until very recently, and they only did that because black people are doing their are like uprising, and the black uprisings are coming, so they're like, okay, we're gonna have to take this down. But hundreds of years after that, he is still held to super high esteem in many hospitals and many studies because of what he did to black women. Okay, I talked to you guys about Henrietta Lacks. She was a black woman who had cancer, and her cells kept reproducing. All of this is in that video. Her cells kept reproducing. They wouldn't die off. Like normal human body cells, when they leave the body, they eventually die off. Right? Her cells didn't. So doctors took that without her permission. They took her cells without her permission or her family's permission, and they were able to do constant experiments on her cells. So they were able to test vaccines, they were able to test experiments, find cures for diseases. They shipped that to other hospitals, and they shipped it to hospitals across the country. They even sent that to space to see what space would do to the human cells. So they made billions and billions, arguably some people would calculate trillions of dollars off of the cells of this black woman, and the family wasn't receiving anything. Now, I think the family, if I remember correctly, did get something. They didn't get nearly as much. They got paid on the back end after billions of dollars was made off of the actual DNA of Henrietta Lacks. And the family got a little something, but the medical industry made billions of dollars, and they're still making that today. Still using the research they got from her DNA to create different vaccines and different treatments and different things like that, and different cures. Okay, we talked about the Tuskegee experiment, where they lied to black men. They lied to a whole bunch of black men and saying, you have bad blood, but we can cure that. And they got over 100 black men. Okay, I think it was like, what, 216, I believe. They got over 100 black men to come in, and they were supposed to be cured. Now, did all of the black men have syphilis? Arguably not. Most likely they did not. Most likely they did inject black people with syphilis. And even if they didn't, it's not just, oh, they just weren't treating. No, they knew they had syphilis. The doctors knew they had syphilis. They were allowing the black men to go home and sleep with their wives, passing the syphilis on to their wives. The black women would have babies, and then the babies would have syphilis. The babies would have a disease based off of the disease they got from their husband, based off of the experiment, the Tuskegee experiment. So you had a bunch of people dying from the Tuskegee. It's not, they wasn't say, oh, this is to save lives. People died during the Tuskegee. Their wives died, and their babies grew up with syphilis. Okay, that's not a joke. Even in current times, and I said all of this in that video, in current times, you have black women who have a higher mortality rate when they go in with a pregnancy, when they go in to deliver the baby, if the doctor is white. They have a higher mortality rate. They have a higher chance of dying than a white woman and their babies have a higher chance of dying than a white baby does, or a non-black baby. So black people have a higher chance. Black people just completely get mistreated for years and years and years and years about this, about the medical industry. But now all of a sudden, this new vax comes up that you guys said, because during the debates they were saying, oh, it's going to take a whole year. If you guys remember that, Joe Biden said, oh, there's not going to be a vax until like at least another year. That's what he said. Then after the election, oh my God, there's this vax that he's trying to get everybody in America to take. There's no, and I'm not no anti-vaxxer, because I already know how YouTube does. I'm not saying you shouldn't take the vax. I'm just saying stuff I heard about people who, you know, wouldn't take it. That's all. I'm just giving you the talking points you guys are giving me. I'm not telling you not to. I'm just saying I heard this from other people. That's all I'm saying. But this vax, from this, something I heard from somebody else, not my opinion, of course not. But this vax has no long-term testing. When people take it and people are like, well, I'm fine, I'm fine. What did you, I mean, honestly, what did you expect? You weren't going to wake up the next morning with a tail. You weren't going to wake up the next morning, you know, with a second head growing out of your neck. That wasn't going to happen. In most cases, side effects of such vaccines, and this is what some other persons, I'm not trying to encourage you guys not to take it. I'm just saying what somebody else had told me, right? So they said most of the side effects you don't even see till years later. There's side effects that make women fertile, that completely kill the chances of a woman having babies, right? Or non-fertile, that can kill the chances of a woman having babies. They wouldn't know that the next week after they get the shot. They wouldn't know that. Okay, we know several commercials that were like, if you've ever taken this and suffered from any of these side effects, you may be owed some money or something like that. They do that all the time because a lot of medicines have side effects. A lot of them do. They're telling you that, yeah, well, I mean, the biggest thing, you might get sleepy, and that's pretty much it. Besides that, and you know, the blood clots, you're gonna be completely fine. And all of the all of the side effects, there was people literally like taking it and then being paralyzed, their face being paralyzed, getting strokes and stuff. And all of those videos you saw on the internet, they would be quickly taken down. Anybody who says anything negative, they get quickly taken down. Let me see. I'm trying to find this one other. Oh, okay, I didn't send it to myself. Okay, hold on. Oh, okay, I did send it to myself. After this, I'm going to show you another video we had with our brother, our own code brother, Dylan, what Dylan had to go through this last week. But I'm going to show you this one thing, and then I'm going to move on to the next. I appreciate your comments. Let me see. I'm going to read it in just a second. Just a second. Hold on. So I'm not saying, like I said again, I'm not saying nobody shouldn't. I'm not encouraging you not to. I'm just stating the historical fact that somebody told me as to why black people wouldn't. And you guys can watch that yourself. Now, this post came up, right? I'm gonna read it, and then I'm gonna show you the picture. Trust black women like Dr. Kizzmekia Corbett, who was key in the development of the Moderna vaccine. 2, Dr. Fauci is telling y'all almost daily to get vaxxed. 3, I'm saying you also need to wear a mask. Okay, and look at this. Look at this. Now, here's my thing. Just trust. Now, here's the issue. The trust black women when we have black women who are, I mean, let's be honest, there are black women who are coons. There are black men who are coons. You would never get on a platform and say, hey, just trust black men. Just trust black men and trust us that we're telling you to follow the white man's lead. They're following the white man's lead, and you're the flunky saying, trust me, I'm black. They're using a black person, they'll dangle it in your face. Hey, ain't he black? Ain't she black? So it can't be racist if a black person is telling that to you. Dr. Fauci is saying every day to get facts. Hasn't Dr. Fauci been wrong several times about this thing? And now I'm not saying he has. I'm just saying somebody else has pointed out to me that he might have been wrong several times about this whole pandemic, about the effectiveness of the mask that she's trying to tell you to wear, about the death toll, how many people would die, about when this vax would come out. How many times has he been inaccurate? And even if I was to give him the benefit of the doubt and say he's not lying, he's been inaccurate. It's documented facts that he's been inaccurate. I made a whole video about that. And that wasn't just my opinion at all. I don't even share any of those opinions that I strongly made. I was just saying that because somebody else was saying that. That's all I'm saying. So you two, don't say anything. Now, let me show you what our young brother Dylan. Now Dylan, he's been on this very channel multiple times. He's been on this channel multiple times. He's called in multiple times, and this is what he had to go through. Let me see. Let me pull it up. This is what he had to go through the other week. Hold on, let me turn the volume. It's on mute.
Oh, get it on video. What? Who do you fucking serious? Oh, get it on video. Take those fucking shorts off. You ain't worthy to wear that fucking color, motherfucker. I would love to send someone over to rip that fucking color off you, but I won't. You know what? I'll let you fucking hang yourself with it. I'll fucking do some other shit. Watch the next time. You miss an opportunity. It's gonna go bless your enemy, and it's gonna grow, and it'll change. And you are so good and so kind and so pure and so loving and so all this and so straight and I don't know what. You know what? The motherfuckers that are opposite of you, they're gonna get blessed and they're gonna come for ones like you that fucking pass God up. Fuck you.
Now this man, our brother Dylan, is completely minding his business in a park. If you know Dylan, Dylan is he doesn't cause any problems. Laid back dude. This white woman just starts racially harassing him.
You're done.
What? You promise. I got your number. I got your color. They're gonna watch you and I'm gonna track you.
Now, she's threatening him. That's a threat. So if he was to defend himself, because she's threatening that they're gonna follow who. How does he know that there aren't people following him? She's literally threatening him. Okay? It's not like she's just saying some weird things. She's threatening him at that point. Okay, hold on.
And you are not worthy to wear that fucking color. Do you understand that? You are not my mother's son. You are not my son. You're your mother's son.
True.
Whose color is that? Admit it. Whose color? And when somebody sees this fucking color, who the fuck do they think about? Seattle Seahawks?
It's just a pair of shorts.
No, this fucking color. You don't deny it. Whose fucking color is this? You don't know? You don't know what that comes to mind when you see this color? Seattle Seahawks, who you think of? Come on now.
I don't know, but you called me a nigger though, so.
Well, you are a fucking nigger, aren't you?
She said it again.
Oh, what? You gonna come give me beat down because they said the N-word by some badass niggas?
I'm about to go.
Yeah, I know you are.
Now,
Where?
that's the end. Then he ends the video. First off, shout out to him being able to keep his composure. Now, if he was to say, now, the white woman did threaten him. So if she was to get up and if she was in his face and he defended himself, then he would have been well within his rights to do so. She threatens him. And he's standing there. He's not doing anything, not even saying anything. That's one thing too. when these Karens are going back and forth with you and everything, don't be, oh well, why you gotta be racist? All that back and forth with a Karen. She's just ranting at him. He's not even saying or doing anything. And what I'm very glad of too, and I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna show you where I was really impressed with the way he did in this part right here. This part right here.
But you called me a nigger though, so.
Well, you are a fucking nigger, aren't you?
That's the part.
Say it again.
Right before he leaves, he confirms, because some people could say, oh, well, you know, that didn't have anything to do with race. She was just being crazy. Right? And he was like, okay, well, now he made her say, okay, this is about race. He was like, you called me a nigger. And then she was like, hey, well, you are one. Listen again.
She said it again.
Hold on.
What? You come give me big jump because it says the N-word was better.
Now, listen. Oh, shout out to Dylan. Let me swipe up real quick. His Instagram is Dylan Filler _dilly. So you guys check my brother. But if this was the now if he would have did anything to her, it would have been, oh, Dylan, why are you attacking this crazy woman? She's off her meds. She's off something. Let me tell you something about Karens. When a Karen gets caught, it's never the Karen's first time. You never get caught in your first time. It's never the Karen's first time doing anything. When a Karen gets caught, it's because the Karen had been doing it and somebody just thought of, okay, let me record you this time. She is sitting there racially harassing him. This dude is not doing anything. Now, if anybody knows, let me exactly find out which park they were in. If anybody knows about that lady, I would like to see any information. I know the internet is really good when it comes to finding out who people are. Let me see exactly what park did he say? I'm looking right now. What park did he say to her? Did he say it was Arlington? Arlington is North Arlington, a park in North Arlington, Texas. So if anybody knows any white woman who lives anywhere near, if you guys know her job or anything like that, she smokes that looks like a can of beer, a big can of beer. She looks like an older lady. So if anybody knows any woman in Arlington, if you guys can please find that out, because should she be able to go to work if this is how she treats black people? This is clearly not safe. The only reason she didn't physically attack our brother Dylan is because she wasn't within arm's reach. We need to prevent her from being within arm's reach of any other black person. So we really need to find out where she works. You know what I'm saying? We need to find out where she works and then have a pull-up summer to ensure the safety of the black people in Arlington, Texas, or a park in Arlington, North Arlington. We need to do that, okay? That's what we need to do. Let me read some of your comments real quick. Tariq has a white wife. I don't know too much about his wife, but I do not think his wife is white. From what I've seen, his wife is not. I don't know if it was an ex you're talking. I don't know who you're talking about, but his wife is not white. His wife is light skinned, but she's not white. All light skinned people are not white. Now I know you made some comment about me being light skinned in a video before. All light skinned people are not white, dude. Then E. Reed says the CDC said that the drive to COVID death toll up to scare the public into getting rushed versions of the vaccine. This vaccine is based off of what E. Reed said, not what I'm saying. Based off of what E. Reed said, this vaccine is very rushed. Nowhere in medical history have we ever had a completely new vaccine for one of the most deadly viruses in modern history. And we have this new vaccine within less than a year, within less than one whole calendar year, within less than 12 months, we get a vaccine. That has never happened before. Never at all. And this disease is so dangerous. It's unlike anything else. You've never had a point in time where people needed to wear masks. People need to wear face masks and stay within 6 feet of another person not to spread this virus. A virus that deadly is almost radioactive, but you can make a vaccine within less than a year? I mean, are you guys, doctors, are you some doctor from space? Did you come from Mars or something? How are you able to do this? I mean, you don't have a cure for cancer, you don't have a cure for AIDS, you don't have a cure for anything. There's no, you seem unremarkable in all these other things that you're supposed to be studying. You're supposed to have evidence for and have studied for decades and decades. You don't have a vaccine for those things. But this brand new virus that is so deadly, you need to wear a mask and you need to stay within 6 feet of another person. This brand new virus that nobody else has ever seen before, that was according to them, not man-made, that you guys have no idea like where it truly came from, supposedly. You guys can make a vaccine in less than a year. Does that sound like that's the truth to you guys? I was reading this, but this virus mutates. So how and why should anybody introduce this into our system? It does. Now we're hearing there's a new variant of the virus. There's a new variant of the virus. Was something interesting to me, and I'm not saying that the viruses are not serious. I'm not saying anything like that, because you already know my opinion. My opinion is that everything these white doctors who are very untrustworthy tell you guys is absolutely facts. White people should never be questioned about anything. You know, when have they ever done us wrong besides the Tuskegee experiment and everything else I just mentioned? It says, why should anybody trust this into their system? Why? Why? Let's just be real. This is not supposed to be a race thing. Anybody with common sense, this vaccine is like this brand new thing. It's a brand new thing. But especially for a black person, because all the vaccine marketing, I'm not saying vaccine because vaccines are safe, but vax, that's a different thing. All the vax marketing is directed towards black people. Let me show you this image one more time. She's doing this. She's saying, oh, this is specifically for black people to get vaxxed. Remember the video I did before with the whole vax that thing up? That whole music video, the remake of the music video, that was marketed specifically towards black people. With Roland Martin. Roland Martin's on his program talking about the Tuskegee experiment. That is specifically directed towards black people. So when it comes to trying to convince somebody to run and get this vax, they're specifically targeting black people. Why are they specifically targeting black people? And they say, oh, it's because we want you guys to be safe because you guys are dying at disproportionate rates. And, you know, it's a deadly virus and we want you guys to be safe and live long and healthy lives. Why are black people the priority? It seems very weird that you pick and choose when black people become the priority, because when it comes to reparations, we just get flat out told no. We just get flat out told no. We get told flat out that that's divisive. We get flat out told that nothing at all can be specifically done for black Americans. Nothing at all can be specifically done for black Americans, although things can be done for everybody else. Things can be done for everybody else, but nothing specifically can be done for black Americans. Black Americans, now we're the most incarcerated people. We were the ones who suffer from the crack epidemic more than anybody else. But nobody's saying, okay, since you suffered the most, let's help you out the most. Not when it comes to anything else. Not when it comes to poverty. Not when it comes to disenfranchisement. Not when it comes to anything else. Spanish flu people needed to wear masks. The Spanish flu was not a global pandemic to the scale that COVID-19 is. It was not. Okay? It was not a go. They were not saying stay within 6 feet, quarantine yourself with they were not doing that to the whole world with the Spanish flu. No. Not like this. Now I'm talking about modern time viruses. It has never been like this. And even with it, how long did it take for them to come up with a vaccine for this? I mean, I'm just saying, it was not to this scale, no. But I'm sorry about that. Maybe forget what I was. Yeah. But when it comes to marketing, they want specifically black people to take it. So why are you looking out for black people when it comes to getting vaxxed, but you're never looking out for black people when it comes to anything else? Which leads me to another statement I want to make. But after that, let me read this. It says, "Don't let me find out where she lives, because I'm going to pull up." Hey, if you need to pull up, Brother Dylan, if you need to pull up to ensure the safety of other black people that she would probably threaten and probably has threatened before, if you need to pull up and peacefully protest and let her know your displeasure with her actions, then I will fully support that. Now it says it can be considered a vaccine because the FDA has it can't be considered a vaccine because the FDA hasn't approved. The FDA has not The FDA hasn't even approved of this vaccine. But they're it's 100% safe. It's 100% safe. Not even a couple months ago, they were saying that there were blood clots through the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. That's on the news. That's not a conspiracy or anything. That was literally on the news, that there were people getting blood clots from the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Okay? So, come on now. Tariq's wife is half white. Okay, well, half white people are not white people according to the system of white supremacy. You can say she's mixed. You kind of imply she was white, like straight up white. Okay? Because the way I see it, mixed people, they're black. If you're a mixed person who identifies as black, knows that they're black, has the phenotype of a black person, you are a black person. Because white supremacy is not going to treat you any less different because you have a white parent. I promise. And I am not mixed, and I know you're probably going to make that comment. No, I'm not mixed. Both my parents are black. But something else I want to mention, something else I wanted to bring up. Texas is now banning black history pretty much. They're banning the teaching of the history of Dr. Martin Luther King, Native Americans, and they're banning people from teaching in Texas that the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan, was morally wrong. So the schools don't even have to teach that the Ku Klux Klan were the bad guys in the situation. Now this is in Texas, but this is just the first step. They're not going to keep this in Texas. Now the state of Illinois, on the other hand, has made Asian American history be mandatory. The whole state has made Asian American history be mandatory. Now, even though we have a Black History Month, Black history is not mandatory. Okay? There is no state where Black history is mandatory to be taught in the curriculum. Even during Black History Month, it is not mandatory to teach Black history. But they're making it mandatory to add to the curriculum that Asian American history needs to be taught. In Texas, it's saying you don't even have to teach that the KKK was morally incorrect. They're trying to go back to the days where they can openly call you guys the N-word. They can openly call you guys the N-word. Call everybody us. I'm not saying you guys, us. They're trying to go back to that days. If it was me, I don't have any children, but if it was my children, I'm definitely pulling them out of that school. I would support homeschool. I would support going to a black private school. Okay. I will support even if you did have to take them to a public school, teach them right after, like take them to a small class afterwards, because the Jewish community does not let non-Jewish people teach their Jewish children. They don't let that happen. They control the education that their children receive. Black people are not controlling the education that we're receiving. They're trying to, and I've said this in multiple videos, they're trying to slowly erase slavery out of the history books. They're teaching that slavery, and I said this in another video. Well, the slaves weren't actually getting beaten. The slaves weren't actually getting whipped, which is a lie. They're taking the word slavery out of the history books. They're saying that slavery, oh, well, that's kind of just like an extreme version of indentured servitude. And then there were white indentured servants, so it's not like it was a racial thing. Now they're trying to make it seem like slavery was not a racial thing. And the KKK, they're not even really morally wrong. If you think about it, they were kind of just like rebels who wanted their states' rights. That's really what it was. The Civil War, that was about states' rights too. I mean, you guys think it's about race. It wasn't about race. Jim Crow, that kind of even really wasn't about race either. That was really a class thing. And America really has never been racist, to be honest. It was never about race. We've always loved black people. That's what they will slowly start to teach children. They can't do it like bam, just like this. They have to start breaking away by teaching the KKK. Were they morally wrong? No, you might have this opinion, I might have this. It's it's in the air. So they'll say that, then they'll start to say, well, the KKK, they were actually the right ones in this situation. They're trying to flip the KKK's history from being wrong to right. Okay. Now, let me read some of the comments. He says, yes, it was huge. I didn't say the Spanish flu was not huge. Actually, let me, since you're all about the facts, let me look this up. Since Kid Gerbo is all about the facts and he's all about this. I'm about to look this up right now. I need to eat something after this. Okay. Now, let me look. Now, this is what Google said. Now, all I did was ask a question. Now, I'm gonna put this up right here for Mr. Because you're being contradictory, Mr. Kid Gerbo, for no reason whatsoever. Now, here we go. This is Google. Now, what I Googled was the Spanish flu bigger than COVID-19? Because you're implying that it was bigger or as big. Now, I'm not going to go through a whole bunch of research in it because we already know. Fact check. COVID-19 deadlier than the 1918 Spanish flu. This isn't to say the Spanish flu wasn't deadly, but this is to say which one was worse. Common questions. Is COVID-19 more dangerous than the flu? Well, they're saying the flu, not the Spanish flu. Let me see. Now, I'm gonna go to this one. Compare the 1918 Spanish influenza pandemic virus to COVID-19. The world is currently battling a global pandemic, SARS-CoV-2 novel coronavirus that caused COVID-19 as of April 1st, 2020. I can barely see, right? I'm sorry. There are 921,924 confirmed cases of COVID-19 worldwide, with 46,252 total deaths in the United States. There is 186,101 cases with a total of 3,603 deaths. Okay, and this is in the United States. Okay. At the time, vast swaths was the U.S. population are under a semi-quarantine dubbed social distancing, with most businesses closed down for except for essential business. You know what? I'm not gonna do it. It's like for essential business. You get the point. Okay, let's go down here. Although the world has faced several major pandemics over the last 100 years, one of the most being the 1918 influenza pandemic, also called Spanish flu. It was caused by H1N1 virus that originated in birds. It was first identified in the U.S. in military personnel in the spring of 1918. It was dubbed the Spanish flu because it was thought at the time to have originated in Spain. Research published in 2005 suggests it actually originated in New York. It was named the Spanish flu because Spain was neutral in World War I in 1914 and 1918, meaning it could report on the severity of the pandemic. Let me see. But countries fighting the war. Okay, come on. Let's get to it. Oh, as it were, Spanish flu infected 50 million people worldwide, which at the time, was a third of the world's population. More than 50 million people had died of the disease, with 675,000 in the U.S. There's a disagreement of that figure, with the recent research suggesting that it was about 17.4 million deaths, while others go as high as 100 million. Okay. Generally speaking, the fatality rate for Spanish flu was calculated at about 2%. Although it is something of a moving target, as more deaths occurred, broader diagnosis testing is performed, finding higher levels of infection sometimes with no symptoms. Global fatality rates of COVID-19 as far as April 1st is about 5%, although in the US it's about 2.16. Some experts believe that 5% figure is significantly lower because of doubts about the accuracy of China's reporting of the cases where COVID-19 originated. Okay, that's all I have to do. Now, this was the comparison. It says fact. Jewish people have money and power. Jewish people do have money and power, and that's what black people need. We need power, wealth, and influence. When he says, wow, you're actually looking for facts. I'm impressed. Well, you were the one who kept trolling and saying that you have all the facts and I have no facts. I told you that COVID was bigger than the flu, Spanish flu. I said it. I didn't have to embarrass you, but you wanted me to embarrass you. So now I just proved that COVID is bigger than the Spanish flu. So, I take your little comment as an apology, and I accept your apology. I really do. Actually, I don't. But that's the end. That's going to conclude this video. I'm on a little bit longer than I had planned to be on. Let me show you this one video again, in case some people haven't seen it, or just a small little clip from the video of the Karen of the week. Let me say that. This is as April 1st, 2020. Dude, of April 1st, 2020, that was when the virus was kind of just starting. Dude, come on now. If anybody knows about this woman, let me see.
I don't know, but you called me a nigger though, so.
Well, you are a fucking nigger, aren't you?
She said it again.
Oh, what? You come give me big junk with the sister and move like you better.
Okay, hey, if anybody knows, because she's just a menace to society. So, for the safety of our brother Dylan and for the safety of all black people around him, because she threatened him, you know what I'm saying? So, for their safety, somebody needs to find this woman. She was in North Argington, at a park in North Argington, Texas. So, if anybody knows where this Karen is, let me know. Let people know, so we can have a justified pull-up summer to prevent her from endangering other black people. All right, thank you guys. I want to give a shout out to everybody who has left a like, who has left a comment, who has subscribed, because we're going at a pretty steady rate. We're going at a steady rate, and that's very impressive. I'm very proud of you guys for supporting me and sticking by me. I genuinely appreciate everything you guys have done so far. Go check out the shirts. I put the link in the chat box. I'm gonna put the link in the description after I edit it, right after the video. So go check out the merchandise, the shirts. If you want a water bottle, if you want a shirt, if you want a hoodie, a tote bag, anything, check that out. So until then, you guys be safe out there. You guys be safe. Stay away from the Karens, and if they threaten you, if they say it, you know, handle your business the way you should. That's all I'm gonna say. Peace, family.